Hey guys, it's Sunday night, and that means it's time for another episode of the M Cluster. I'm here with Brandon,
Hi guys.
and I'm happy to announce that Amina is with us, and she's decided to become a regular contributor.
Konnichiwa.
And that was completely appropriate, seeing as this week we're doing The Grudge. Um, the Grudge, I'm not really all that into or affected by scary movies, but this movie scared the shit out of me when I saw it in the theaters. Uh, there was just something about the way they had the actress made up. The Asian ghost thing just really kind of got to me. And one of the stories I like to tell about this movie is when I left the theater, I was actually fine. But at the time, I was living in a place called Titusville. Titusville has a movie theater, so I had to go to Orlando to see it. And the road between Titusville and Orlando is a desolate, empty, just there's nothing on it, right? So I went to go see the last movie, so I got out like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm on my way back from the theater, and it was a dark, foggy night. And so, of course, since there's fog, I keep seeing these wisps of white in the rearview mirror. So I start to freak out. And I didn't want to look in the rearview mirror anymore. So I start talking to myself out loud. I'm driving, and I'm like, I am a grown-ass man. There's nothing to be afraid of. And I actually have never seen the movie since until this week. And I rewatched it again, and it wasn't nearly as bad as it was the first time, but still just one of the creepiest movies of all time, in my opinion. It stars Sarah Michelle Gellar, who most of you know. I'm a big Buffy fanatic.
Buffy?
Jason Bayer.
What?
Yeah, I know. You've never heard of it. And Clea Duvall, William Matt Puther. But this is based on a Japanese horror film that was made in 2002, I believe, called Ju-On. And if you watch the original Ju-On, what they did with The Grudge is like they only took part of the story. They didn't tell you the whole story. And they've made several sequels since then, but I was too chicken shit to watch any of them. But it's basically the tagline of the movie is when someone dies in a powerful rage, a curse is left behind, and that's called The Grudge. And that's kind of the story here is that there's this incident that occurs, and they don't obviously tell you that right up front, but the incident leaves a malevolence behind in this house, and the people that go into this house are afflicted by it. So what do you guys think?
I was very creeped out the first time I saw it. The first time I saw it, I was actually sitting alone in my room in the dark, and it scared me a little bit, more than I was expecting. And right after that, I immediately told my friends that we had to actually go see it in theaters. So I've actually seen probably The Grudge 6 or 7 times.
Wait a second. You saw it at home before you saw it in the theater?
Yes.
Okay.
I will not expand on how that was accomplished.
So go on.
Just, anyway, it was very creepy. I think the creepiest thing about it was Toshio. More so than either Yoko or Toshio's mother. I can't remember her name.
I don't know, man. That little kid was creepy. But Amina, what do you think?
The first time I watched this movie was actually a couple of days ago, and I never have a lot of expectations for American movies made from foreign movies. They always usually lose something in the translation. It wasn't. It was decent. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It had some scary moments, but I think it suffered a little bit in that there wasn't a lot of character development, so you really weren't invested in these characters much. People are dying, and I didn't really care. But it did have a lot of scary points to it. There's a lot of things where it's like you don't want to be in the dark watching it. But it also had some things I think that like you can tell a bad book from a good book with, and that's the way that the dialogue comes across. Like in this movie, things are just said blatantly that could maybe have been hinted at or just inferred by character actions and things like that. And that's really the only problem I had with it. Is just that people just outright describe stuff that maybe should have been left to the viewer to kind of get themselves.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. It's not subtle by any stretch of the imagination. They come out and just, it's almost like someone's telling you a story.
Yeah, it's just like, this is it.
Yeah, and you're right. There's that happens a lot in movies that are basically translated from other nationalities. But what I enjoyed, and you know what you said about the character development, I came into it invested because of the actress.
Well, yeah, there you go.
So like right off the bat, I was fanboying. So I didn't have that much of that problem. But yeah, like Bill Pullman's character was in the movie for all of 5 minutes, and they just show him. It's like, hey, I'm here, and I'm going to jump off this balcony.
Yeah, it's woefully underused, and he's one of the only two big name stars in this movie.
Exactly, and they don't really come back to him until way later in the film to explain what happened. You know, like why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Which I thought kind of threw a monkey wrench in the story, because one of the things about the Grudge is it centers around the location where it occurred, and at least that's what they kind of lead you up to believe. So right up front, they show you something that happens outside of the house, and it doesn't really gel with the rest of the story until later on. They, you know, obviously tell you, oh, it's not limited to locations. Like once you're there,
it follows the infected, basically.
Right.
And then to go on in the second movie, at the end of the first movie, they burn the house down. Now it's escaped, and it's hitting people everywhere, and it almost seemed like they just wanted to kill people just to kill people.
I can see that.
For no good reason.
Yeah, that's kind of a wanton problem with American films in general.
Well, at the end of the first one, they do mention that they were able to save the house. I don't know if that meant it was still available to live in or still around to have the ghosts there.
Well, at the end of the movie, they basically burn it down. Now, whether or not the house is, the structure is still there, is they don't really tell you. But
was I watching the director's cut then?
I don't think so. When Sarah Michelle Gellar and her boyfriend are in, and the ghost is there, and the two gas canisters.
Right, and she kicks that over and tries to burn the house down. But at the end of the movie that I watched, they had the Japanese investigator that hasn't the assistant investigator that was still alive. He was talking to somebody else, and he said that they were able to save the house.
Yes, and that's where I was going with this. Is like they don't show you the house anymore.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's a livable structure or just kind of a husk of a building, they don't really get into that. Yeah. So and there's actually a lot of interesting stuff I was reading about behind the scenes that they did with this film. Like there's a lot of references to the original Ju-on, like when they're walking through the city and having that conversation about just basically the status of their relationship and all that crap. They walk past 3 cemeteries. The 3 cemeteries are a reference to the 3 girls that die in the original Japanese version. So they did take a lot of time to try to put some meaningful stuff in, but they at the expense of continuity, I think. Because if you've never seen the original movie, you're not going to know this. It's like this, and it's kind of an obscure reference at best.
True, and I don't think they did as good a job as they could have done. For example, The Ring 1 and 2, it actually completes the story, and you were left pretty satisfied with, or at least I was, with the way the story went and was told throughout those 2 movies. The Grudge doesn't seem to have the same consistency or explanation detailing things.
Yeah, and The Ring was a little different in that the story had a very good continuity all the way through.
Yeah.
It had a very, a beginning, a middle, and end kind of thing. This movie jumped back and forth a lot, which could have been jarring. especially if you don't know, what the story is about completely. Um, like you
Yeah, it was
can
a lot
tell,
of flashbacks that kind of got in the way. Yeah.
right? You can tell that the director came at this kind of with it's like there's this other story and I want to retell it. There's just this. If you kind of put yourself in his position, a lot of things make sense, but as a viewer, those things aren't going to translate.
They kind of played it fast and loose with some of the rules for these ghosts too, because I understand, scaring someone to death or, whatever they were doing would leave corpses behind. And it did for everyone but the one person that dies in their apartment and then gets sucked into the bed.
Yeah.
What is that?
Again, and that creepy ass scene. Thanks. Anyway, so basically what she's saying is the scene where she's lying in bed and they show her pick up the rabbit's foot, which is something that happens so fast when she runs away from the ghost initially that the rabbit's foot almost doesn't make sense. But the ghost basically grabs the rabbit's foot, she runs away, it breaks off, she doesn't get it. But when now she's home in bed, suddenly the rabbit foot's there, kind of foreshadowing what's about to happen. When she looks under the cover and there's the ghost. And then, like you said, she just kind of gets sucked into the bed and she's never seen nor heard from again.
Yeah.
But
I hate when that happens.
Dante put up an interesting little note here. It's like apparently there's a drinking game, and you drink every time there's a time shift in the movie.
So you get drunk.
You'll be shit-faced in 10 minutes.
That's kind of the point. But not a lot of other interesting things about this movie. They filmed it, in Japan, and some of the, I guess, superstition behind this translated it into the production of the film. Like, even though the house was on a soundstage, the actors had to take their shoes off before they walked into it out of respect. And before they even started filming, before they allowed them to film, the cast and crew had to go through a ceremony where they were blessed in order to keep anything bad from happening to them during the filming of the movie. So that's kind of an interesting thing culturally, I think. This wasn't just a movie to them. They actually took this stuff kind of seriously. Whereas
horror in Japan is a big thing. Japanese horror, it's a lot of it is psychological. A lot of it's what you don't see, and I think they did a decent job of putting that in this movie. The vengeful ghost is a big theme in a lot of their movies over there.
Oh yeah, and the just the way they dressed the character is, and that's part of what really got to me was she just this pale white, almost like an apparition, and the way they draped the hair forward, and just the actress, the look on her face when she looked at you, and she opened her eyes really wide. It's actually one of the pictures that I have on our Google Plus and Facebook sites is just this real one big eye. She's like, it's just creepy as hell. And one of the things that really got to me about this film is there's a scene where the ghost comes crawling down the stairs.
Yeah,
and
I know which one you're talking about.
From what I've read, there wasn't digital trickery there. That's the actress moving that way. And
yeah, it kind of looks like stop motion almost.
Yeah, and that's some creepy shit.
That would creep me. Well, I mean, the whole movie creeped me out with just those little things a bit. But for the worst of it for me was Toshio. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the meowing. It just freaked me the hell out.
Well, not just the meowing. He's just the way he said his name, Toshio.
Toshio.
It's like that. Just that one word. I think that's the only line he has in the film. Is full of hate. He's like, "This is my name, and I want you to die."
And it almost seemed with Toshio that the cat and him were kind of cohabiting the same presence, so to speak.
Well, if you remember towards the end of the film when they sort of give you the big reveal of what caused the grudge, is the boy and the cat pretty much die in the same scene.
Yeah.
You know, so they're tied together in that way. It's kind of like a loose thread, but you know, it's a boy and his pet basically.
It still was creepy though. That every time he opens his mouth, meow.
Oh my god! And then while I was watching this, I decided to watch it, like you said, in the dark. And my roommate's cats decided it would be a good idea to start, like, you know, climbing under the covers and meowing. So that was kind of creepy for me. And the idea behind the cat thing, and I'm not sure if this is just from a filmmaking perspective or if there's some superstition behind this, but the little boy that was acting as Toshio was actually terrified of cats. Right? So the fact that every scene he was in, or most scenes he was in, he had to be with the cat, I think is kind of cool and creepy in and of itself. You know? It's like, you know, it makes me wonder, it's like, did they find a kid who was terrified of cats on purpose? You know? Sure, but it was an interesting thing to know about the movie. And one of the things you had mentioned earlier, again, it's about character development, is they went through these characters really fast. You know, at one point, you're like in the nursing home, then they kind of flash back to when the family decides to move into the house, and there's like 6 characters introduced.
Yeah, it's like, who are these people?
Yeah. And they don't tell you anything about them, like why they're there, what's going on. I think they might give you a hint that they're there for a job, which I guess gets developed a little later on. But that one
in
scene
another time flash.
Yeah. In that one scene, they throw all these people at you, and you're just trying to figure out what they have to do with the story, because not all of them live in the house. You know?
It's like, how are they related to each other? Who? Yeah.
Like, how did she get involved? Like, why did they both happen to get jobs in Japan at the same time? You know, that part of the story was a little choppy at best, I think.
Then they even go on into the third one. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I've read little bits that there's apparently some ritual with blood drinking involved to actually get rid of the curse, and they do.
Worst drinking game ever.
Yeah, no joke.
Which almost reminds me of oh god, what was the movie Joss Whedon did just recently?
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. Remember when they're talking about the Japanese schoolgirls, and they trapped this thing that looked like the Grudge, and they're singing at it?
Yes.
That's kind of the reference they're making, although it didn't have to do with singing; it had to do with blood drinking instead.
That's whose blood?
I don't remember. It was one of the characters that died or something, or something to that effect. Hold on.
Now, is Sarah Michelle Gellar's character? What's wrong with me? Sarah Michelle Gellar's character in all 3 movies?
No.
Okay, she in the second one? Because, like I said, I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, she is in the second one.
So I'm guessing they kill her off?
For like 10 minutes.
Oh, kind of like they did with Scream and Drew Barrymore.
Well, she didn't look like she was going to last long at the end of this movie.
Yeah. it kind of picks up exactly the same spot it left off.
Really? It's like in that coroner's room?
Yeah, it shows that scene, the continuation of that scene.
Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to watch it now.
If for nothing but that scene, so you can see Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Just so I could know what happened, because that's kind of a very abrupt ending in this film. You know, like they don't give you any information about what happened. So if what you're saying is that it picks up right at that scene, there's obviously more story, or at least they hoped there was more story. I heard a lot of people did not like the second film.
A lot of people didn't like the first one either.
Yeah, and I don't know why. There was a lot of hating on this film, and I think it's more of a kind of how I'm hating on Star Trek, because like the people that were familiar with the original film were kind of like, oh, this is just a piece of crap, remake or whatever. But like I don't think this film was bad. I mean, it wasn't a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but the film itself, I think, has merit. It's totally worth watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely watchable. I'll give it that.
Okay. They have to drink Kayako's blood, which is the wife or Toshio's mom.
Oh, I think we lost Brandon. Oh, there you go. So, you froze up there. What was that?
Oh, it's Kayako is the blood. That's whose blood they have to drink. That's the wife and mother.
Yeah. How the hell do they get their hands on her blood?
I have no idea. I have no idea. But apparently that's what they had to do.
There's a whole nother movie on like a bunch of Jurassic Park scientists cloning her blood. You know.
Well, I mean, they found her body in the house. Maybe it didn't burn up.
That's true.
Gross.
That's true.
Oh, you know what? We completely skipped over something. The original nurse, Yoko, right? When she's walking through the house trying to figure out what's going on, I'm sitting there talking to the screen. I'm like, no, don't do that. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that was kind of dumb. I don't care if I'm in a horror movie or not. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny about that is when she's looking in the attic, and I'm fully expecting her to get killed. I still jumped.
Well, yeah, they ripped her face off for all intents and purposes.
They don't show that though.
Well, that's why you don't go poke around in people's attics.
Honestly, I didn't jump because gruesome things. It's not that stuff doesn't bother me. It was just the way they kind of laid it out.
Well,
the whole sequence.
Yeah, when she turns around and the ghost is like right there, you know, it's like ugh.
I thought it was cool that Yoko's boss is played by Ted Raimi, which is Sam Raimi's brother, and Sam Raimi's one of the producers of this movie.
Oh well, we know how he got the job.
No, I've seen him in other stuff. He's not a bad actor.
No, I wasn't suggesting he was a bad actor at all. I was just kind of making a joke. But yeah, the Yoko scene at later on when she's shows up at her old job and she turns around. Now that was actually something I didn't understand.
Why did she go there?
I don't even know that she was alive.
Oh no, she's definitely not.
No, I mean, she's missing half her face.
Yeah, like they ripped off her jaw, and then he sees her boss sees her, and they don't really show you anything beyond the look on his face. But then all of a sudden, bam, he's dead.
And that's the question: why?
Yeah, and what's happening to these people? Are they like sucking out the life from them? Are they just
how exactly do they die?
Yeah, are they just being scared to death?
See, at least that was one of my gripes about the movies, because at least in The Ring, they tell you how the people die.
Right, and again, that's kind of like one of the big differences between these two films is that movie has a very good continuity to it. Even if you don't come into it from the beginning, you can pick up on what's happening in this story. If you were to come into The Grudge in the middle, you'd be lost. They'd just be like, "What the hell's going on?" As a matter of fact, I think you could actually watch the end of the movie and then go back to the beginning, and everything would make perfect sense. Because of the way they tell the story. So, and like I said, I'm not generally one to be affected by horror films, but just it's the imagery in this. And I think that's something about Asian horror films that's always gotten to me a little bit is the imagery, the very stark contrast. Like she had very white skin and she was wearing white clothes, but she had the jet black hair.
Well,
that happens a lot too.
And the thing that I actually liked about at least the first two Grudge movies, as opposed to the third, I watched a couple minutes of the third just to see what it was looking like. And in the first two, when the apparatus or whatever she's the ghost and she's crawling around, she is very pale, but you can see almost like dirt on her, and it was kind of like a grimy type of thing. In the third one, they changed that completely. It's almost like perfectly smooth skin, extremely like even more pale than they were in the first two films, and it just looks like a doll. It's like really poorly done in my opinion.
Yeah, that super pale skin, that long, dark, black hair in your face is a recurring theme in a lot of Japanese movies. You got, Ju-on, you have The Ring. It crosses over into video games too, like the Fear video game, has that same
Yep.
scary little kid. And they all look alike. I
Silent
guess,
Hill.
and Silent Hill, exactly.
Well, so I guess overall, it's not a great film, but it's a good story. If you like scary movies, this is one that I would suggest.
Oh, definitely. With all the continuity issues aside, it did scare me, and that's the whole purpose of a scary movie.
And I didn't look up who did the music, but the score for this film does a lot to pull you into it. One of the things I had done is I just kind of paid attention to my reactions versus what was going on in the film. One of the things I noticed is my reactions were right in line with the way the score was going. So they did a really good job in that aspect of it. So it works. It's not perfect. It's a popcorn movie, kind of. Turn off the lights.
Well, just if you've never seen it, don't hold the bag of popcorn.
Yeah, you want a table nearby or something. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up, and I think it's time to pick our next movie. So we're gonna get Dante over here.
I lost a bag of Skittles during that movie.
You lost it?
Well, I lost about half the bag on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Because I was holding them, and I'm sitting there, eating. Squeezed it real quick. Skittles, floor.
Let's see. Yeah. All right. It's
063.
Hey, good job. Let's see what this one is. Hey, it's another Dante film.
Uh-oh. That means he has to talk.
I know.
I have not seen that movie.
Frailty?
Yep.
Frailty.
I don't know if I've seen this one either. I know we had it, and I know we've talked about it a lot, but I don't think I've ever actually seen the movie. So this will be another one of those where I finally get to watch a movie that he's been bugging me that he likes so much. Yeah, The Grudge, definitely see it. See it with the lights off. If you have a jumpy significant other, see it with them, because that'll work out. I
tried watching it with Amanda, or no, she told me about when she watched it. She said she laughed. There are other girls that I have talked to that have seen it, and they laughed. Is it just a guy thing where we're more scared of this movie than girls?
I don't think I ever laughed at this movie, and there's some there's some points where it's like, okay, I can see where that, in the right environment, that might be kind of creepy. But, I wasn't, scared ever either.
Oh, no, I was scared.
Yeah, I was scared.
So, yeah, maybe it's a dude thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
The only thing in horror movies that scares me is zombies and aliens, so this isn't going to do it.
And see, zombies and aliens don't ever scare me.
Now, see, I want to see zombies versus aliens.
I don't.
Yeah, that might be really bad.
Like World War Z meets, Mars Invades or something.
Well, they have that new zombie movie coming out that I actually do kind of want to see. The one where he's actually turning back into a human.
Warm Bodies.
Yes.
I saw it the other day. It's actually really, really good.
Yeah, a friend of mine's going to see that right now.
I knew I would like it just because it's such a twist on the genre, but I may actually go see it again. I really enjoyed that movie. There's, in my opinion, nothing scary about it at all.
Oh no, I don't think I've ever seen a zombie movie where I was scared.
Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to be like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing? Because the zombie's name is R, and it's Julie is the girl, and yeah.
And it's overt in certain scenes. Like, there's a balcony scene.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. I actually started just kind of talking to myself during that scene. I was like, oh, Zombio, wherefore art thou, Zombio? Totally worth seeing. It kind of turns the genre on its ear. It's weird for me to say what I'm about to say because I hate this other franchise so much, but it's kind of like the Twilight for zombies as opposed to vampires.
Aww.
So is this a better love story?
Oh, totally. Everything's a better love story. It's like, it's like if you're driving down the street and you happen to catch a glimpse of two dogs humping, better love story than Twilight.
Me and the pizza I ate earlier is a better love story.
But it just kind of scarifies the whole zombie thing. But again, these zombies aren't quite as these are not the Walking Dead zombies. These are most of them look human. They have a distinction between the two of them. We're starting to talk about. We're doing a whole new show here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a question.
So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But Amina, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Look forward to doing more stuff with you. So next week, I got nothing to say about Frailty because I've never seen it. So on that note, Brandon, Amina, I'm Dante. That's a wrap. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Or if you want to follow along with our antics when we're not in front of the camera, you can check us out on our social media pages on Facebook, Google+, or Twitter by searching for the M Cluster. Or you can leave comments in the field below. Or you can send us an email or give us a call. Heck, you can even write us a letter. Or you can buy us dinner. Or you could buy us a car. That would be awesome. Or you could send us on vacation. Or get us an Emmy. Ooh, a Tony. If you could get us a Tony, that would